Hey friends, and continuing on with our cityscapes, you will need to add any textures that you may want to some of your buildings prior to gluing them down. So I'm going to start with adding these pieces to the artwork because it's time now for me to apply the work I've done. So first you'll want to make sure you have those texture marks on there if you're adding them. Any windows that you would have wanted to add. And I'm just gonna have this go right up here, over to here. Add that in. Then I'm going to place this building right behind there. Then next I'm going to place this building, but first I want to apply a texture to it. So remember how I talked about using a texture plate and rubbing the art stick, and I use it on the actual angle I find to work best, and then you just have to hold the paper still so that it doesn't run away on you, but it gives a nice textured look to it. Again, apply the glue, making sure you hit every edge of it so that it will stay nicely on there. And then prior to adding the buildings in front, make sure that you add any details you want on these buildings in the background, such as a window or architectural highlight. I like to try to add rectangles, triangles, ovals, or circles. Keep your shapes super simple. It makes it so much easier. So I am just adding these parts in, and then I can add a window inside of that super easily by just cutting. And if you don't have pieces that you're wanting, that one feels a little bit big, so we'll just trim it down and we can use the extra piece for something else. And then after you get all these parts added in, and you're satisfied with your buildings, you feel like you've completed all the parts necessary, then your next job would be to simply add the road, the clouds, and the sun. And if you look at mine, you can see how I added the clouds by tearing them. So you just use your fingers and pretend like your fingers are the scissors. That's the easiest way to go about that. And I'd say you could have 3 to 5 clouds. So then I could just put the glue on here and apply that to the space where it needs to be. For my sun, I simply took a yellow piece of paper. If you prefer to draw, you could draw a big circle on there first. Just make sure when you go to glue it that you don't have any of those colors on there. Also, if you have a sunset like I do, it might be kind of nice to try to blend some of those colors into your clouds, kind of like what happens in an actual sunset. So I'm just adding these blendings of colors to my clouds because that's kind of what happens when the sun sets. The clouds take on the colors of the sky. And you could also add more of a golden color to your sun or an orangish kind of hue because the sun is setting. If you feel like your art sticks are a little bit dirty, you can use a scrap piece of paper first and then add that in. so you don't get that dirtier kind of look going on. Okay, so those look good. And then I'm just going to need to glue down my front buildings. All right. So after these get glued down, then you can just think about how do you want to add a door on your artwork. And you can see I've just cut out a simple rectangle. And over here, I have a orange door with a yellow knob. And then to the base part of my artwork, I used a white and black oil pastel. You could also look for a green one. These are the materials that are located in those yellow boxes, or the white boxes are on the cart at Pine Creek, and at North Holland, they're in the second drawer down. So I simply used a ruler, and here I'm just gonna use the edge of the Sharpie to make these lines on an angle. So you could just use a ruler just real gently and go back through. And these are those lines that the concrete pours put into the concrete to prevent it from cracking. And this will help your artwork look like it's three-dimensional. And so when you add the people on next week or in the next couple of weeks when you get to that part, you are going to cut them out and glue them down. And then they can be walking or whatnot. And you notice I have made some mistakes when I was coloring, that mixing that white and black. So literally I just took the black and I put those markings on, and then I went over it with the white. And you just need to press really lightly with the black, because the black is more potent than the white. And you can kind of keep working it. Maybe two people could do this. You could have one person apply the black lightly down first, or if you wanted to start with white and see how much black you'd only need, and then you'll just want to go over it with the black when you're done. And then for your extra pieces of paper that you have for the white, you could easily just simply cut a line and then divide that line up into smaller marks for your road marks. So if you want a one-way road, I would stick with white road marks. If you want a two-way road, I would stick with yellow marks. And obviously before you place them down, you're gonna wanna put glue on the white paper. So those would get glued down on the bottom. And then again, in the following weeks to come, when you have finished all of these steps, and your buildings are really filled up nicely, and you have windows filling all of the spaces. You can see mine is still lacking. It needs more detail to it. Once you have all these completed with your texture marks, then you are ready to add your transportation and people. And the transportation and people can be found on these white printouts that are in the box of supplies for 4th and 5th grade. So in here you'll find a bus, more people. You can add them to the windows, people of different sizes, business people, so this might be good for walking on the ground. And then putting people in windows, or someone who's looking for a taxi cab. Maybe you want to look for one of those images and see if the teacher can print one out for you. And then here's cars. You could always have the people telling the Uber or Lyft driver that they're ready for their ride too. And then if you have extra time, you can use art sticks only to color your vehicle. That would be the only reason that I would do that. So I hope you enjoy this project today and in the next couple weeks, and that they turn out fabulous. They would look really good hanging in the hallway. Have fun.